Hello everyone, how is it going? In the last video, we learned how to pull an image from DockerHub and run it. And the last image that we pulled in was the Hello World image. In case you have not seen the video, please give it a watch because it will clear a lot of concepts for you. In this particular tutorial, we will be learning more on the day-to-day basis commands that we are gonna be using in our Docker journey. So the firstly, we will be pulling an image of Mongo and running that. So let's get started. So to pull an image, you write Docker, then you use the pull keyword and the corresponding name of the image. As we have not mentioned any particular version for Mongo, it is pulling the latest version for us. So to run it, we simply write Docker run and again the name of the image. Voila. Now, if you are curious that, hey Aniket, I want to know what all images or containers that are running in my Docker engine, how to list that. So in Docker, we write the command docker ps. In case you have used previously any sort of operating system like Windows or any of the Linux distros or Mac, I'm sure you have used the ls command. With the ls command, you get a list of files and directories in the corresponding path. Similarly, with docker ps command, we can get the containers that have been spun up. Now, if you want to stop a Docker container, how do you do that? We simply write docker stop and the name or the container ID. So remember, the name of the particular container that is running is not Mongo, rather it is this particular thing written over here. So generally, the strings that we can see over here, like Quirky Jennings, Strange Shaha, Jolly Batten, are all named randomly. And generally, it has been tried not to make two names same, but of course, there is a chance of collision. So we prefer using the container ID. So what we do, we write docker stop and the container ID. And when you see that, it returns the container ID as the output. Now let's check again if our container has stopped running or not. Now you can see this particular container is not currently shown as up. It has been exited. Now if you want to check like all the previous containers that you have ran before, what are their corresponding status? Now we write docker ps-a. If you have used again the file system in any of the previous operating system, you have a tendency of writing lsa, in which is list all the corresponding files and hidden folders and even dot files. Similarly, with the ls-a command, you can get all the files or container that we have ran before. Now you can see all the corresponding containers that we have worked with. Now if you can see the Docker engine that was created about a minute ago and the status is 0 and it has exited successfully. Now what if you don't want to play around with a container ID, because hey, that is can be something that can get confusing. So what can we do? We can rename any of the container that we want. So how do you rename a container? You write docker rename the name of the corresponding container that you want to rename. Now let's say we want to rename this particular container Johnny Bratton to something like say Momo. Now, if we type docker ps, we can see we have successfully changed the name of the Docker container. Now, we can stop the Docker container not only with the docker stop command but with docker kill command as well. So, when we write docker kill and the name of the corresponding container, it returns the name and it also exits it. Docker kill. Sorry, now let's again check the status for all the corresponding containers. Now you can see that the Momo container has stopped running. Now what if you want to spin it up again? So you write docker restart Momo. Now let's check the status again. Like, as you can see, it has started again around 2 seconds before. So even if when we stop the container or we send a kill termination signal, then also the name of the container is consistent. So you might get a bit confused that, hey Aniket, like I am a bit confused. Like for one particular operation of stopping a container, why do we have two particular keywords? So let's try to understand that. So you can see we use two commands. One is docker stop and one is docker kill. Now, what are the need of having two particular commands? So when we have docker stop command, it sends a sig term as a signal, like basically a termination signal, and when we use docker kill, it uses sig kill as a signal. So what does the thing SIGTERM and SIGKILL do differently, and why are these two important? So firstly, whenever we send a sig termination signal, that is sig term, it allows the main process inside the container to shut down gracefully, right? So sig term allows a graceful shutdown. So whenever we send the SIGTERM signal, it will let the corresponding container know that, hey, you need to shut your main process down, and it has a generally 10 seconds of grace period. And if the container is not shut down within 10 seconds, a sig kill signal is sent. So SIGKILL signal is basically a forceful exit. Now suppose when you can see like your function or program is not exiting, we have a tendency of using control C, right? So it is very similar of control C with the SIGKILL signal. But always remember that whenever we are using SIGKILL, it does not let the main process to exit gracefully, and there is a chance of data loss and an unexpected behavior in certain application. So it is better to use docker stop, but in case the application is not stopping, then you can use docker kill command. Now let's get back and understand further on things that we should focus on. Now, as of now, we did learn about Docker pull, Docker run, then we explored the stop command, the restart command, and so on and so forth. Now we need to estimate what a container is doing at the current moment. Meaning, let's understand how to determine the status of a corresponding container. Now, let's say we are interested with our Momo container. So, if we want to check the logs for the corresponding container, how do we do that? We simply write docker logs and name of the container. You can see it has given us a list of events and logs for the corresponding container. It gives the knowledge about the control, the storage, the network, replicas, and a lot more. Now, when do we use logs? Logs are generally used whenever you are using an application and you want to deploy that particular container in your orchestration network. So logs become very handy when you use the containers or Docker containers to be specific in production environment. Now, if you want to check the usage of a particular container, usage in terms of the CPU utilization, the network utilization, and each and everything to be very specific, you use the command docker, then you write stats and the name of the container. So this gives you a real-time memory usage, memory percentage, net input output, and everything that gets updated in the real time. Because whenever using a Docker container in the production environment, you need to have a clarity on which container is using the highest amount of memories and the CPU utilization. And if you feel that this particular container is taking way more than what it should take, there is a chance you can stop the container or reduce the corresponding threads. So ultimately, these are the general commands that we have a tendency of using. So in this particular video, what did we learn about? Let's summarize it. So initially we started our journey with pulling the Mongo image. We pull the corresponding image with a docker pull and the name of the corresponding image. Then we run it with the docker run and the mongo image command. And after that, we learned about how to check if what all containers are running. Then we get a history of the containers that we have ran before in the corresponding Docker engine. Then we learnt about the Docker start command, Docker stop command, Docker kill command, and the difference between Docker stop and Docker kill. After that, we learned about how to get logs for a corresponding container, how to get the status of the memory usage or network usage for a corresponding container as well. I hope you have clarity on all the concepts that we have learned as of now. In the next video, we will be learning about port mapping. So if you are interested and if you want to learn further, these are the concepts that generally no one teaches you about. So if you want and do not want to miss the video update, so make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thanks a lot for watching.